I need to have a base camp so I can get into the base camp and then we can explore on from there, right? I need me base. All right, lads and lasses, welcome along. Weekend work. I'm hoping some of you are going to find some time to do some work. You know, if you're not too Geordie and doing all this, maybe you'll think, oh, I'll catch up on all my homework from Geordie Intelligence. Right? Really nice to see is if you're watching it at Christmas Day. If you're not and you thought, what, I'll catch up later. Fair enough. What we're going to do today is we're going to extend on what we looked at with the Kimball schema and starting to actually be able to understand what it is we need to do. Now, especially when you're bringing in an Excel spreadsheet or a CSV, as we've got behind, is you can see that there's a lot of information there that we're probably not going to need. Right? And this is very common. So it's commonplace that you'll find your spreadsheets are coming from finance, from HR, from legal, and you might have 100, 200 columns in there. And really, you're not going to need all of them, right? But for starters, what you need to be doing is understanding that what you've got is what's called a flat file. It's a completely denormalized data set, right? Everything is just in one big table. And what we need to do to make Power BI work more effectively, or as effectively as we can, is we need to actually, as I would say, like we make it pop. Yeah, you're kind of going from a flat plane, which is what your flat file is, to like a three-dimensional structure with fact tables and dimensions. So to do that, what we need to do is establish the base connection, which is what I want to talk about today. So what we've got here is we've got the loan data set. And we can see we've got the application loan file is labeled, and you can see it's in italics, right? And if I right click on it, you can see it's not being loaded, right? And this is what I would term a base. So I've set this up as this is going to be just the import for this spreadsheet. If it's a case of, say, you've got monthly extracts, weekly, daily extracts, and you've got to combine those together, so similar to what we did with the New York taxi data set, that base location would be where you've pulled everything together. And it's really where all the strands of getting the core data set together come together, and you say, right, this is our base. From there, what we do is we right click and we choose to reference it. Now, by referencing it, what we're saying to Power BI is read this data and do this, right? And then kind of store that point, right? We're not going to do anything else with it though. We're not going to alter it any further. And by establishing that mindset, what it does is it gives you a point that if there's a change in your data or something happens, you've got a single point to look at for it. And you can then see, because it'll be one of these other tables that stops working, what's causing that issue, because you know you've gone to a standard base. Yeah, it gives you another step with your troubleshooting. So if you remember, we did troubleshooting steps or applied steps last week. This week we're looking at this. So let's scan over and look at the applied steps. Well, in order to do that, tell you what we should do. Let's get rid of this ugly mug. Let's get rid of me face. So we can see in here, all we've got is 3 steps for this, right? It's all it takes. You don't need more for this one. You might find as you get more advanced, especially if you're pulling in multiple CSVs or Excel spreadsheets to build and combine those, that you've got 20 or 30 applied steps in there. The main thing is what we want to do is get to a point where we've built our basic version of the data set. So there's nothing else in there, but just this is the big flat file version of all our data. At that point, when you're coming through, you right click on it and you untick enable load. This will be ticked by default. Untick it. And then we'll do it again. So if we go in and we choose to reference it, you see it creates a new file, but you can see in the source, if we look at the source here, it's actually, the source is the other query. So it's a very easy way of being able to break it down and understand. And we can see in the tooltip for it, the actual content of or a truncated version of the content that's gone in to build that file. So it's a good way, because now I've potentially got 3 tables and I could have 10, I could have 15, I could have 20, all of which are referencing that initial build and combine. And you're not then saying, oh, I've got 15 places that I need to update and change because we've added a column or because something else has happened. So I hope that makes sense. I hope you can think through and see, this is something I'm going to do next time I'm bringing army spreadsheets in, right? We've got new year starting. So what means we're going to be busy. And from my experience, January, February, March, it just seems to ramp up and get busier and busier, which is great. I mean, I love being busy, me. Let me know what you think of that. Keep doing it. Obviously, as you switch and you're moving into database sources, this becomes less relevant. You're not doing as much of it. But when you're first starting out in Power BI or you're first bringing a part of your business into Power BI, I can almost guarantee you're going to use something like this, right? You might have an ERP system. You might have something else that's going to help with a big chunk of the data, but you're always going to get that person who goes, I've got these 5 spreadsheets that I'll do something with, right? Every time, right? So happens, get used to it, be comfortable with what you need to do, right? And always remember, if in doubt, reach out to us. For now, have a great Christmas. Keep taking care of yourselves. Keep looking after your families. And obviously, keep doing your homework. Take care. Ta-da.